r/NuclearRevenge. Don't want to pay me what I'm worth? Let's see how that works out for you. First time posting, but I have read a lot of these. So years ago, I was working for a laboratory that did a lot of testing for the military. It was a terrible job for a number of reasons. Despite having enormous responsibility, they never gave me credit for anything. In meetings with the department head, DH, they frequently blamed me for problems that they had caused but I had solved and they could not. They also hired consultants to come in and tell me I was wrong only to have the consultants say I was right, and the consultants would get paid 1/4 of my yearly salary for one day's worth of work. I only stayed as long as I did because it was my first real job and I honestly didn't know better. But before I left, by their own standards, I was severely underpaid. HR agreed. They claimed there was nothing that could be done. Meanwhile, other people were given off-schedule raises. Well, I wasn't the only one that was underpaid. There were a number of others as well. But none of them were critical to the operation of the laboratory. Eventually, the DH went to the director with a list of all the underpaid people. I found out that my name was on the top of the list as the most underpaid person, not surprising. Using this list, the DH got permission from the director for one-time raises. An announcement was made. Well, guess who didn't get a raise? This despite that fact that I had made massive improvements in some of their processes that easily saved them millions per year, and their budget was just over $10 million. I was livid. I had enough and left. They hired 2 people to replace me at more than double my salary. One of them had just graduated 2 weeks before. From what I understand, they had a lot of difficulty. That would have been enough for most people and maybe even for me for most of my life. But it wasn't enough for me then. So, I arranged a meeting with one of the project managers, PM, from the department of the military that we had done our tests for. I casually mentioned to him that I had left my old job. He was shocked. Remember how I said they never gave me credit for anything? Well, the military PMs considered me an invaluable expert and could not understand why the lab had driven me away. They immediately pulled several $1 million worth of work from the lab and gave it to the competition. Several labs were involved, because they had no confidence that the lab could do the work anymore. When I ran into one of the lab managers, the only half-decent guy there, I casually mentioned my meeting with the PM and I could tell he figured out how the military knew I had left. It took them years to recover and honestly, I don't know if they ever really did. Last time I checked their webpage, it hadn't been updated in at least 12 years. I would have been happy with a $20,000 raise. Ecstatic even. But they weren't willing to spend $20,000 and lost $2 million to start and more in the long run. I started my own business and now make at least 5 times what I would if I had stayed there until now, and more than 10 times what I was making when I left. Now for the next story. Almost. Mother-in-law fired me unrightfully, so I destroyed her company. Hey everyone. I decided to share my story. It all took place 17 years ago, but I feel like it belongs here. At that time I was 20 years old and dated my first true love. We've been together for 1.5 years already and everything was just great. Her mother really liked me and she had her own company which traded fashion clothes for kids. She made tons of money. They needed someone to drive one of their 3.5T truck and she came up with an idea to hire me cause I was unhappy with the job I had. So as a win-win situation I accepted her offer and we started working together. Job was okay, even though I had to work a huge amount of overtime cause she thoroughly introduced me how the whole company worked. She had a huge storage facility, a store, and 2 trucks. One that I drove and a big one. I worked for her like 1 year and in that time I knew every single thing about the company cause she trusted me with all of the dirty secrets. This later came in handy. This is where things took a huge turn. I find out that my girlfriend cheated on me with her ex, and as a result I broke up with her instantly. It was an ugly situation, and after it went down I called her mother and told her what was going on and that I don't want to mix things with business, so I will still be there for work, even though I don't want to see her daughter again. She said everything is alright, but of course she sided with her daughter and I felt that she is mad at me cause of the breakup. I went to work and acted as a professional should, took all the drama aside. However, soon after she singled me out and started looking for mistakes so she can discipline me. This has been going on for months and I realized she's just waiting for an excuse to fire me, but I wasn't gonna give that reason to her that easily. She was pissed that she couldn't find big mistakes and the small ones she often just made up was not enough to terminate me. So she came up with a plan. On the truck we had a power generator which provided a light and a power for laptop, printer, and so on. It worked in two ways, with fuel when we were on the road and with cable in case we were at the storage. But it was not made by a company, they just hired an electrician for that, and he made an error, so we had to flip a switch all the time if we used it with a cable connection, otherwise it would burn down. As I loaded the truck she convinced a co-worker to flip the switch back and after a few minutes the lights were gone and I noticed something's wrong. It burned out of course, but I knew I didn't forget the switch cause I was loaded the truck for an hour and it only took 5 minutes tops to burn out, so it couldn't be me. She didn't even heard me out, started yellin', fired me on the spot and stated that she's gonna pay the repairs out of my last salary, so don't expect any money from her. I didn't take that lightly, and told her that I don't think you wanna go this way with me, but she refused to listen. It took a few days for me to cool down, but I wanted to give her a last chance. I called her and told her even though I know what was going on, and she did set me up, but if I get my money, I will call it an end, and we don't have to see each other again. She told me to buzz off, so I came up with a plan. First, because I knew that the store she had didn't have a bathroom, which was illegal in my country. The shop assistants had an agreement with the restaurant on the opposite side to go there if they needed. I reported this to the authorities and the next day they closed the shop because of this violation, and told her she can't open up until they have a bathroom. She called me right away and asked me if I have anything to do with this. I laughed and told her, "Didn't I tell you that you don't want to go this way with me," and hung up. I knew that we worked so much overtime that me and the other truck driver had so much overdrive on the tacho cards, it records how many hours you drive and how fast, and when you stopped, so I called the authorities again and told them everything. They went and checked all the records and gave the company a brutal fine. She sent me obscene text messages all day long after that. I replied, "Ain't done yet." Then silence. Few hours went by and my phone rang. She called and asked me if we can talk it over. She even said she sent me my last paycheck, but I shut her down immediately, and told her, too late for that. And I called the fire department and told them that the wires they had in the walls of the store were outdated, which caused short circuits daily, and that they only have 2 fire extinguishers for the whole place, when they should have like 12 to 15. On that very day they had to close the storage as well, so she lost the last place where she could make money for months until they get everything up to date and renew all the wires, which cost a huge amount of money. Because of the fines she got from the different authorities, she couldn't afford these renovations, of course. Few months later she filed for bankruptcy. I know because my ex-girlfriend called me with, "I hope you're happy, asshole, you made my family bankrupt." I never got my paycheck, but at that point I didn't even cared anymore. I was happy with the outcome. I hope you enjoyed my story. Update. So after a few months, the tax department, or as some of you know it, IRS, took almost everything from her. Store, stuff, storage, trucks, the whole 9 yards. She got so much fines from different authorities, she could not pay it. So after everything was gone, she sold her house, moved to a smaller apartment and never owned a business again. As far as I know, she works in a store as a clerk, things not looking good. My ex-girlfriend, Well, she's married to the next guy and now they have 4 kids. After the second child she really let herself go, and now I'm happy that I didn't had a child from her. I'm not gonna fat shame her, but damn. At least they still together, so maybe, just maybe she learned a lesson and did not cheat on him. Or so I hope. About me, I had a long relationship after her. My son was born, but she was a lazy ass gold digger, so after 5 years we separated. I've met the love of my life after that, and since almost 9 years we are still happy together. She also got out of a terrible relationship, abuse, and domestic violence, so she truly appreciates me and vice versa. I love her to death. I hope I answered all the questions. Love you all. Bye. That was r/Nuclear Revenge. What do you think of these stories? Please share your opinions in the comments below. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe and hit the notification bell. I publish new videos daily.